What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Isaiah Smith, and I want to welcome you to the Insights with Isaiah show. I'm excited for today's show, and I hope you all enjoy it. Are y'all ready to get into the show? Let's get into it. First up, we got insightful quotes. This woman was a very special woman. She made an impact on the earth, and this is none other than Maya Angelou. This is what she said. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. When I think about stories, I think about powerful sayings, powerful experiences that can shape one's reality. So I have a story. You have a story. Obama has a story. Whoever might be has a story. And when you don't tell your story, you're missing out on somebody being changed or somebody being inspired. So I want to encourage each of you to share your story. Share it with whoever. Share it with the stranger. Share it with your boss. Share it with your friend so that they can be inspired. Does that sound good to y'all? All right, let's move on to Isaiah's insights. If y'all don't know, there has been a popular video about this preacher named Marvin Sapp. There was a clip of him in a church service, and he told the ushers to close the doors. I want y'all to take a look at it.
There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant.
How about that? What was interesting was how he said, close the door, right? He said it the first time. Then he said, close the doors. And I think he said it about an additional 2 times. But I watched a interview or a clip of his interview with Ricky Smiley, and this is what he had to say.
I locked folks up in my church that, I made them give $40,000 and I wouldn't allow them to leave until they gave it to me. And to be honest with you, that is absolutely false.
Yeah.
Number one, that offering was taken last year. This was a service that happened last August. Number two, it didn't happen at my local church. It actually happened at a national organization's international meeting, where churches from all over the country, all over the world came together for the purpose of celebrating the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. People took issue with me saying, shut the doors. Understand, I never said lock the doors.
Yeah.
I said shut the doors. Shutting doors mean that people still have the ability to go in and out. They've taken issue with my tone. And I can honestly say, looking at the video, maybe I was a little more assertive than I should have been. And I can apologize for that. I can apologize for that. But 3 things I need to make sure that people understood. Number one, the $40,000, if it was $40,000 that was raised, was never given to me. That money was raised for the purpose of taking care of the budget for their conference, not Marvin Sapp. Number 2, it didn't happen at my church. It happened in Baltimore. Number 3, people take issue with me being firm with the ushers. Anybody that goes to church, ushers one-on-one, that's the first thing they teach you as being an usher, is that there are 3 times you don't walk. You don't walk during the altar call. You don't walk during prayer. You don't walk during the offering. One of the reasons being is because of the sacredness of the moment. But it's also about security. As a pastor, we understand and we know that churches are being robbed at gunpoint. It's happening all over the country. This is not something I'm making up. This is factual.
Interesting, right? But when I had watched the clip, I thought it was interesting. His interview with Ricky Smiley, and something he pointed out was how there are a lot of robberies at church when it comes to offering, how people have gotten robbed at gunpoint. So when he said that, I got a better perspective. But one of the things I learned out of that is seek understanding. It's interesting how we can be so quick to judge somebody or be able to say something that we have no idea about. So what I encourage you all to do is do your research. Don't be so quick to say something based on what you hear and see. but find the research. Is that all right with y'all? All right. When we come back, I'll let you all know who my guest is, and we'll go farther into the show. I'll see you all then. Welcome back, everybody. My guest today is a senior at Winston-Salem State University. She's a communication and media studies major from Greensboro, North Carolina. Guess what? She's passionate about storytelling, journalism, and creating content for diverse audiences. Please welcome to the show my guest, Keishanti Key Bradner. What's up, Key?
What's up, Isaiah?
You good?
Yeah, I'm good today. I'm chilling. I'm
I
feeling
like
great.
your glasses.
Thank you. These are the look. They seal the
look.
deal. Yeah. That's how everybody know me, the girl with the green glasses.
The girl with the green glasses. And you know what else is green?
What else?
The Eagles.
Yeah,
I
my
heard you
team.
an Eagles fan.
I am an Eagles fan. Shout out to them birds. I've been an Eagles fan since birth, and it's been amazing to see my team win the Super Bowl twice in my lifetime.
Now, have you ever gone to any of the Eagles games?
Yes. So I've been going to Eagles games every year since the age of 8. It's me and my dad's thing. My dad got me into sports real heavy, especially the NFL. So that's been something that we've done every year because my dad didn't have any boys, so he got remarried.
Right.
So with that being said, we packed up. We'll go to Philly or we'll go to Tampa. We'll go down to Jacksonville. It's just every year we'll pick a game that we want to go watch. Like this year was the first year I actually went without him. I went to go see the Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles play, and I went with my best friend, Autumn, and it was an amazing experience because that was her first ever NFL game ever. So to be down there with her and to experience watching Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts, two of my favorite quarterbacks, play against each other, it was just a great atmosphere. In Baltimore,
they came with the heat.
Yeah, they in there. They be rocking. They be rocking. Baltimore is a lit stadium. I would say if anybody's a Raven fan, ain't never been to a Ravens game before, go to a Ravens home game before you go anywhere else.
That's awesome. I really want to get into your passion for storytelling. So first, talk to me about what is storytelling, and then how did you develop a love for it?
Storytelling is really just the ability of conveying other people's journey of life in your own words. Being able to tell what you've learned in a basic conversation from them to everyone else, and to paint a picture, a visual picture through words of what they've been through. I got into storytelling in high school when I took yearbook in journalism. That was the first time I ever did anything that was mass comm related, journalism related, and being able to write stories and learning how to convey a story and what I wanted to put out there for everybody to hear and to understand was just one thing that I had to learn while being in that class. Like, you got to push the purpose, the motto, and what you want everybody to gain and learn from whatever you're telling.
When you said push the purpose and motto, how do you push the purpose and motto while still being creative?
I think with that, the purpose and motto, you have to connect to whatever story that you're telling. I don't never tell a story that I don't connect to on any type of level because I don't feel that I would be able to convey that story in the best way possible. You always want to make sure that you have some personal connection, whether that's being somebody like, I always talk about transferring because I transferred schools. I came in, switched my major. And when I tell people about that story of being a person who came into the mass comm department from being a health science major, they're like, oh, you know, that's really dope. But I've never experienced that. Okay, I'm telling you my story. Now you get the purpose and the passion behind it of why I told you is because you'll understand that this story has a connection to me. It has a connection to somebody that's out there in this university, in this campus. It could have a connection to somebody 5 years from now. And they'll say, you know, I heard this girl's story and it's okay to come in. You know, it's okay to fail. It's okay to get back up. It's okay to try different avenues and get yourself back on to a different track because at the end of the day, you're still going to succeed no matter what. But you just got to find your way of succeeding throughout the storm.
Being a health science major at first, did you find yourself wanting to connect with people in a way, and did that influence your decision to become a mass communications major?
I think my decision to become a mass communication major has always been set in stone. I knew when I started applying to colleges that being a mass comm major was the field that I needed to go in. But, you know, everybody be hard-headed. You know, God got a way of telling you that this is your track that you need to be on. This is what you need to do. And I remember I was getting college acceptance letters out the butt, but every time I would open them, they'd be like, oh, we accepted you into the communications program, or we accepted you into journalism or mass comm. And I'm like, come now. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to be an OBGYN. I want to go to school. I want to be a medical doctor. Like, this is not what I wanted to do. And when I started playing softball, went to my first school, and I was out there doing health science. I was like, I'm going to leave, come here, came to Winston, was still in the CLS program. And it just didn't feel right. I wasn't succeeding academically. That was the first time that I had like real academic trouble in my school career. So I knew that this was not my purpose. I didn't get into the CLS program the first time I applied. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to retake my classes, get back on track, see what's going on. And I decided one day to step into a mass comm class, and Professor Sky Teeley, he was the first teacher I ever had. And I sat in his class, and at that moment, I knew that it was low-key solidified, but I was still debating because I had reapplied to the program. I'm like, I'm going to see if I'm going to get in. And literally, I didn't get a letter. All my other friends was getting their acceptance letters, everything. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just switch my degree over to mass comm completely. Yeah. The day I switched my concentration, my whole entire career path over, was the same day I got an email from the CLS department saying that I was accepted. But I already knew that this was where I was meant to be. Facts. And it just took me some time to get back onto my path. And I feel like that's okay, because everybody's walk is different in college. And that's what I've learned being in college. You know, everybody has a story to tell, and everybody has something that they went through that either you can relate to, or you can sit back and be like, wow, like that story right there made you into the person that you are today.
Yeah. Y'all, this is awesome. Key is sharing some great stuff with us. And honestly, Key, I have a similar experience. So me starting off in Norfolk State, I was a business entrepreneurship major. And when you talked about academically you weren't doing well as a health science major, I was experiencing the same thing. And I'm like, I'm not doing well in business. I thought I had a real passion for wanting to start my own business. But as I'm majoring in business entrepreneurship, I'm making a lot of videos, right? I'm doing a Motivational Monday video, Triumphant Tuesday. I named each day was something different. So I think that's powerful that you realize mass comm was your thing.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. When we come back, we'll hear more with Key. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Keyshanti Bradner, aka Key. That's what she goes by. And Key, not only are you into storytelling, but you also are passionate about sports journalism.
Yes.
Talk to us about sports journalism and what that is.
Sports journalism is just basically everything that's involved in sports, whether you want to talk about the stats, whether you want to talk about stories that's going on, the drama that's going on, trades, all of that. Everything falls under sports journalism. It's such a broad topic to do. You can do any sports. It don't have to be the NFL, the NBA. You could do the Major League Soccer, Major League Baseball. You could do boxing, tennis. It's just any sports that have a story, or an athlete that has a story, you want to tell it. That's what sports journalism is.
Yeah, and I know earlier on the show you mentioned that you've been going to an Eagles game ever since the age of 8. Did that ever spark an interest for sports journalism?
So my interest actually sparked around that age. I grew up watching a reporter named Pam Oliver. She's one of my favorite reporters, and she was the first Black on-field sports reporter that I've ever seen growing up. So seeing her in that light, seeing how much she knew about sports, and making it okay for a female to know a whole bunch about football that they never really played a day in their life, it made me say, like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to be on TV. I want to talk about football because I'm passionate about football. I love football. Even though I never played, it's like, if I was a boy, I probably would have played. But still, like, watching her do that, and seeing how much the field has grown since I've got to college, and seeing so many more women of color stepping into these predominant roles and main screen time roles, and being, you know, big household names like Taylor Rook, Joy Taylor, you got Molly, you know, seeing all of these women coming in here and making a prominent mark on sports reporting as women has been a good thing to see.
I mean, I'm familiar with people like Stephen A. Smith, but I've never heard of these women. So are they all on ESPN, or where can we find them?
So Taylor Rooks actually just signed a contract with Amazon. She is leading Amazon's TNT right now for the NBA. She's one of the main on-court reporters for the NBA. She does the WNBA. She also did Thursday Night Football with Amazon Prime. Joy Taylor is on a show with LaShawn McCoy on FS1 that airs. She does in-studio commentary. She's one person that I like to watch, especially being in studio, being a woman of color, working for a big-time network. You know, I try and monitor her, see what she's doing, and kind of stay in her raps. I have one of my friends, Talia Floyd. She's an HBCU graduate, and I love her. She does on-court commentating. So, like, when you're watching a game on a TV screen, she's one of the girls that's commentating, especially during, like, March Madness and stuff like that. So, just keeping up with them and watching them do what they do in the different aspects of it is great. I'm trying to see where I want to go, thinking about maybe breaking that barrier in Major League Baseball and getting, you know, women of color to represent, because we have all different types of players in the MLB. But when you look at the reporters, you look at the commentators, there's no barriers being broken there. And that's because they think we don't know anything about baseball, but we know baseball. I grew up playing softball, so I feel like I have a love and a connection to that sport. So I'm thinking about maybe breaking that barrier in to the mascot world and having, you know, representation of women of color being reporters in the MLB.
That's awesome. Give it up for Key, y'all. She's doing a great job. So you talked about you played softball a little bit earlier. How was that experience?
The experience was great till I got to college.
What changed?
You realize that it's more of a business. You start losing the passion for it, because you know either there's people on the field that's there because of seniority.
Right.
There's people there that's on the field because they know the coaches or they grew up playing with them. There's people on the field that don't belong on the field that, you know, you play better than. And it's like when you get there, you have to start questioning, but like you as an athlete, you start questioning, am I at the level that I thought I was?
Right.
Am I where I should be?
Yeah.
And when I started feeling like I became mentally judgmental of my playing style, how I was looking, what was going on, especially coming off of an injury in high school, that was the moment for me that I realized that, like, I can't mentally do this. And especially seeing like all of the stories at the time where you had student athletes going through, you know, suicide crisis and things like that because their mental health wasn't being prioritized. Yeah. It was something that I was just like, at this moment, I can't. But I enjoy playing the game, though. The game will always have a special place in my heart. I've made some of my closest friends from the game. It's been there for me in times where people couldn't be there for me. So the love that I have for softball will forever and always be there. But playing it at a collegiate level, never in my life. Like, if I could go back, I probably would not have done it at all. I just would have stopped at 18U, played my last travel season, and just would have went on.
Right. That's awesome. Now, you mentioned about mental health. And I was reading an article for one of my classes. I'm taking a class, y'all, called Topics in Communication and Media Studies. And it's an asynchronous class where you just receive all the work and you have to turn it in by a certain day. And with this teacher, she has us reading articles, sometimes watching videos. And some of the videos she has us watching our TED Talks. And there was one TED Talk where this former college athlete, she played softball like you did. She was talking about mental health and how she had to take a step back. Talk to me about how important is it for someone who plays sports to value their mental health?
It is super important because, in the words of Deion Sanders, you got to look good, feel good, to play good, and do good.
Right.
And if you're not mentally feeling good, you'll never physically feel good. No matter how well you present yourself to anybody, you'll never physically feel good. And you can't go out there and produce the stats and the numbers that you want to produce when you are mentally drowning and you don't really have no one to talk to or a space to go and, you know, just confine, because there's a lot of things that people don't know. Like, you have a coach that tell you one day, I need you to gain 25 pounds by the end of the week so you can play. Right. And you sitting there stressing like, how am I gain 25 pounds by the end of the week? Yeah. And then you got to be like, well, if I don't gain the weight, they're going to find me or they're going to cut me because I'm not big enough or I'm too small or I'm too big and I'm not small enough to play this position. And that's a mental toll that people don't realize a lot of athletes go through. Right. And taking that time back and taking a step back to really just make sure that you as an athlete are okay, that you have who you are outside of your sport and you don't let that define you, because a lot of people get stuck in football is what defines me, or soccer is what defines me.
Right.
Basketball is what defines me. That's who I am. Everybody
Yeah.
knows me as the basketball player. Everybody knows me as a football player. But who are you outside of that sport?
Yeah.
And that's another thing that a lot of college athletes struggle with, is the transition back into the real world. And that's one thing that I didn't want to struggle with, because for all my life, I've always been busy. I stay busy now. And the reason why I stay busy is because I'm used to being busy. I'm used to traveling, going to band practice, going to softball practice, doing homework, working, doing all of these things. So when I took softball away and I didn't have anything else on my plate, I'm like, what am I going to do? Right. I don't know how to feel. I felt like an inmate coming home from the first time. Like, adapting to society was hard, because I'm so used to getting up at 5 o'clock, going to go run, going to weightlifting at 7, going to class, going to positionals, then going to whole team practice, then hitting at 9. Like, you feel what I'm saying? I'm so used to having that schedule. Now I don't have that. And it's just like, dang.
Right.
Like, I had to figure out who is Keyshanti outside of softball. And I think that's what a lot of athletes, high school athletes, they need to start asking themselves that now. So that way when they get to college, they know their worth, they know who they are, they know that no coach can tell me that I'm not good enough to play this position, because I know who I am outside of this sport. I know who I am inside of this sport. I know what I can bring. I know what I can do. And I know how hard I grind to succeed at the things that I want.
Yeah, this is awesome information. I don't know about y'all, but I'm really enjoying this. Now, you talked about storytelling. You talked about sports journalism, being softball, playing softball.
Yeah.
But also, I know you create content.
Yeah.
Talk about your content creation and what you try to do with that.
I use my content creation as an outlet to not only work on my skills being a mass comm student, but to just be a creative outlet. I like making my work videos. I be at work making biscuit videos or chicken, showing people what I like to do, because you never know. Like, these videos, they might seem corny and cheesy to me, but somebody might be at home watching these in their bed and be like, dang, this kind of interesting. I never knew this was how this was made, or I never knew this is what they do. And then they be like, dang, she took the time out to really like spruce it up and make it look, nice, not just no regular content.
Right.
I enjoy it. This summer, I'll be doing minor league baseball content.
Awesome.
So I'll be enjoying that with a AAA team, getting to work with them, trying to beef up their social media presence. Just because I feel like social media is the way to gain traction.
Absolutely.
Everybody's on social media. Everybody's tuned in. Everybody's tapped in. So when you create content that people like and you create content that people enjoy, that they can relate to, it's like digital media content creating and storytelling go hand in hand. The only difference is when you storytelling, you using words.
Right.
When you doing digital content, it's a visual thing. It has to be a visual story that you have to tell.
Yeah.
It has to have a purpose, a motto, and you have to have that. And once you have that, people will mess with it. People will start getting onto it. People will start seeing the traction, the vision that you had all along, that it might have took everybody else a little bit to see, but now it's here, and everybody can see from the beginning you wasn't crazy. Like, this was bigger than what it was supposed to be. It is not just a little TikTok video that was a 60-second video that, I'm going to post it and hope that it goes viral. Yeah. Now it is viral, and now I'm making content. I'm making a living off of it, and I'm doing something that I enjoy doing because I know it makes people happy.
Wow. This has been awesome, Key. I want to say thank you for coming to the show. Have y'all enjoyed, Key?
I hope so.
Well, thank you all so much. Well, after this, I'll be back to close out the show. Everybody, I want to say thank you all so much for tuning in to the show. I appreciate you all. I know I don't have a live audience yet, but that's a goal of mine. Some of my aspirations are Jennifer Hudson. I watch her show all the time and I love her show. But I just want to say thank you all for those of you who tune in every Friday to Insights with Isaiah show. I appreciate your support, and I just want y'all to stay insightful. Know that you can do whatever you put your mind to. You have a dream like mine. I'm starting. My show is not syndicated yet, but one day it will be, and you all will see me on national television. But until then, let's keep rocking and rolling, and I'll see you all next time. Stay insightful.
1, 2.